Hey, Busties! Welcome to another special episode of Entrepreneurish here at Live Hip Hop Daily each and every Thursday at 7 p.m. How y'all doing? Today we're having a solo episode, and we're talking about analytics. Something that I got the most DMs about on my last episode when D from Put You On Game is here. Pause. If you're not following at entrepreneur.ish.podcast, you need to, so that you can get the link, so that you can find that episode, because it was a really good episode. We talked about our fears, hopes, and desires as podcasters. It was such a good conversation. But in that conversation, he asked me a question. He said, why did you cut your clips to 15 seconds? And that's a good question, because I don't think everybody is analyzing their clips. I see a lot of podcasters just posting something. I'm not that type of person. I've never been that type of person. I do everything with intentionality. So I talked about why I cut everything to 15 seconds. And long story short, the reason why I did is because I checked my social media analytics. That was it. Long story short. And then once I started to actually pay attention and learn the algorithms, did I start to see growth. Now, I don't have 1 million views, so we're not talking from that perspective, right? But we're talking about if you are posting things and you are in the 100 view range and you want to get to 500 views range, I got you. That's what I'm on right now, and I'm very proud of that statistical jump. However, we're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about what a good social media channel looks like, what their numbers look like, what are honestly key things that you need to start looking for when you go to your page. If you have a business and you are posting about your business, but your account is not set up as a business account, you are already losing. You're losing. You are never going to figure out why don't nobody like that picture. You will never understand. You will just keep sitting there with your 5 likes, feeling sad, and quit. And you know, at Entrepreneurish, we don't let you quit. I don't let my busties quit. So I'm going to help y'all, because I know everybody's always looking for their audience. We're always looking for more views. We're always looking for more exposure and everything. And why? Because exposure brings you where you want to go. Without exposure, there is nothing. If you have a podcast and you have no listeners, you aren't going to get brand deals. You aren't going to get anything that you're really, really looking for out of this. And especially if you're looking for this to pay for your whole lifestyle, you got to look at analytics. That's just where we at right now. That's just where we are. And because I don't sugarcoat it with y'all, I'm going to come to y'all as raw as possible, because I've been seeing a lot of crazy shit. So that's what our episode is about. I wanted to give myself a little shout out since we're on the ride. Y'all, my annual planner has been going crazy. I love Amazon. Thank you, Amazon. I appreciate you. Y'all get y'all some virtual assistants that market your stuff, because it works. It works. And do you know what I do when it comes to this book? I check the analytics to make sure it works. Why? Because if it don't, I'll be on your ass. It's for real, though. I'm real anal when it comes to my numbers. And we were talking about that last time. I was like, one thing that was really, really true is that I would have fired my podcast a long time ago. Like, if this was my podcast and I was my analytics coach, mentor, whatever, I would have fired me. Like, I really would have, because the numbers that I need to hit don't be hitting. It just don't. It don't. And for the type of caliber of show that I'm doing, I'm not getting the results I want, or that I could prove to any other business about why they should invest in me. All right? A certain threshold. So I'm going to talk about that. First, let's talk about why social media analytics matter. Let's just get to the basics first, and then I'll start talking about the things that you need to look for on your own page, and the things that you are going to, the goals that you're going to have to hit in order to be recognized outside of your current crew, right? So the reason why social media analytics matter is because they're going to tell you exactly what's wrong with the piece of content that you posted. So, and you're like, wrong? What's wrong with my creative work? I worked really hard on it. You can work hard on shit. Like, you could work very, very hard and create a shit. Like, you could do that. You could strain all you want, and all you're going to get is shit. That's it. Nothing's going to come from it. And this is what I'm seeing a lot of people do. I'm seeing a lot of people go so hard on being consistent with their content, but they put out consistently bad content. So yeah, you're consistent, but like, who the fuck cares? And that's the problem. The problem is that you're killing yourself to be consistent, and then the post not posting. It's not engaging nobody. It's nothing. So this is why you have to look at your analytics. So I post to 3 platforms right now, and my 3 platforms that I post to is Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. And the reason why I do this is because this is where people normally scroll and spend their most time finding out what podcast that they want to listen to next. I don't really know a lot of people going to Spotify and searching podcasts for a new podcast. That's not what normally happens. A lot of times somebody's scrolling, they find a show, and then they're like, okay, I want to watch that episode. So the reason why you need social media analytics is because you need to know when you're actually gonna get the results that you're wanting. So when you post a post, do you have a reason for posting it, or are you just posting it? Because I've seen that a lot. I've seen a lot of times people are just posting stuff. What does this have to do with anything you got going on? Is this part of a campaign? Is this part of a broader picture? Is this part of anything that is relevant to the people who watch your stuff? Like, if the people, and one thing, I have to thank Tamika. Y'all need to watch that episode too. I love my guests. They give me so many ideas. But Tamika was like, I went where the people were. She said when she wanted people to find her book, read her book, she went to where the people were. She knew people like to eat. She knew people like to drink. And she knew people like music. So that's where she went to go sell her book. We have to do the same thing. What are people on Instagram for? What are people on TikTok for? What are they on YouTube for? And if your content doesn't have shit to do with that definition, period, then it was bad piece of content in the first place. Now, how can you know that your content is bad? Likes, they call vanity metrics. Okay? And so vanity metrics are like a little hard to define, so I'm going to try it. What they mean by likes or vanity metrics, I could scroll, and just because I know you, double tap. I might not have... I do this all the time. I'm sorry. Y'all don't. Please. I intentionally like pictures. Let me change that statement. I always like all the pictures because I watched everything in the video. I'm sorry. I didn't say that out loud. I pay attention to y'all's content. But anyway, when I'm scrolling, sometimes I just double tap and keep it moving, right? It's like to show support, but like I'm not really your target audience on this one, or I got bored in the first 5 seconds. So cool, like I'm glad you posted today, but like I'm moving on. That's how most people look at podcasts. First of all, there's like 6 million podcasts. Everybody has clips of their shows. Like it's okay. Like this is part of it. So how do you stand out in the crowd with that? You have to be different. You have to come with some sort of hook. And so what I started doing, I started following all the pages on TikTok and Instagram that talked about social media marketing. That's it. That's your first step. First step, type in social media marketing in the search bar and YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram, and learn. Become a student. These people, one, the way they show you content, crazy. I watched this one guy shows like how you can make better reels. And he said one of the things that you need to do when you make reels, you need to have something with your hands in the background. So if y'all have noticed, a lot of these big podcasters are doing dumb stuff like playing with their shoe in the camera or moving Jenga blocks while they're talking to you or something like that. For some reason, our brains pay attention to that. Because even if we're not fully paying attention, we hear you, but we're watching you like almost knock over this Jenga tower. We're asking ourselves, why is this shoe in the video if he's talking about social media marketing or whatever? And then they'll break it down for you as to why this is working. And then what I started doing, I started to take what they were teaching me and apply it. So one thing that I really loved was that they said, look at time watched. That's the metric. So if you guys pull it up, I guess it'll be on Instagram for me. And if I go to a reel, I'm going to look at a reel. I'm going to go to view insights. And then the first thing that they show is overview. Accounts reached, this one, accounts reached, real interactions, and profile activity. Now, when we're looking at this overview, account reach is what you need to know. You need to know that this number of people have seen my work. So set a goal for yourself. What's an okay number for you? Because we all have to start somewhere. I can't say 1 million views is an okay number for me because I've never hit that. So an okay number for me is 500. If 500 people have seen it, then I'm cool. I'm like, okay, that's an all right post. I might ask myself, how can I get to 1,000? I might compare it to something that got a little bit more reach and try to see, was it hashtags? What was it? But I'm getting ahead of myself. So that's the first thing. Real interactions is going to be your likes, comments, sends, any of that stuff at the bottom. All this play, hearts, messages, the little airplane, and the saves. That's what this overview is basically talking about. That's what it means by real interactions. It will add up all these numbers at the bottom. Now, I just posted this live, so y'all don't look at my zeros like that, but sometimes it's not zero. And then when you see your reach, they have definitions. So you can literally hit that little icon right there that, I'm not sure if y'all can see any of this, but there's a little info button. And when you hit that info button, it says accounts reach, the number of unique accounts that have seen your reel on screen at least once, whether or not your reel was played. So these are the people who seen it but might not have watched it. So these are all the people who scrolled past it. This is a big number for me. If my reach is bigger than anything really, and people are just scrolling by, like if I have a whole bunch of reach and I don't have at least 10% engagement, it was a bad post. It's a bad post. So think about that. If I only reached 100 people, I'm expecting 10 likes. Period. If I reached 100 people and I didn't get 10 people to be like, all right, I seen that, that's cool, it was a bad piece of content. That means don't do that again, girl. That's exactly what that means. It means no ma'am. It means no ma'am. That wasn't a good one. Try again. Try something. Come back, right? And so the other thing that I love about Reels is that you can see initial plays and replays. I look at replays. I love replays. If people are sitting there watching it and they're keeping it on their screen, that meant they wanted to hear something again. So this is why I shorten things to 15 seconds, because my plays were cool, but I never had replays. When I had like 45-second minute clips, no one was replaying it. No one made it at all. My average watch time was like 14 seconds, maybe. And that would be for a long one. And that would be 14 seconds on a post that only got 500 views and 5 likes, which meant that I was already under. It was too much going on. So I had to start going, okay, you are not meeting any of your goals on the analytics side. What do you need to do to change that? So that's why I went to research. Do you know what they told me to do? Stop your videos at your average watch time. So that's what I did. I went to all my reels that I had previously posted in the past 3 months, and I said, what is my average watch time? My average watch time is like 10 seconds, bro. Like, for real. It's 10 seconds. Average watch time is crazy. 10 seconds. 10 seconds. I was like, now how do I get people to see that I had a guest on my show and I only have 10 seconds? People talk a lot. Like, it's a podcast. Like, we talking for a whole hour. How do I break this down to 10 seconds? You know what I had to do? I called my buddies at the AI Systems. It's called Opus. If y'all don't already have Opus, Opus Clips is what I use for my clips. Y'all can have that. I'll give away that information. That's what I use. I use Opus Clips. And the reason why I use Opus Clips is because it's AI designed and everything. All I have to do is take the link from my YouTube video, put it in there, say what color I want my captions, and say what duration do I want the clips for them to make for me, and hit go. 2 minutes later, I get an email talking about your clips are ready, and I start going through them. And then I have something like 30-something clips of 30 seconds. What is crazy about Opus and what's crazy about AI and what you can really, really do, it will rate your content. It'll tell me, hold on, let me pull up Opus real quick so I can really tell you exactly the type of stuff that you get from it and why I use it. Because once I started with Opus, and shout out to, it was Taylor. Taylor told me about Opus. What's up, Bossy? Okay, so it'll tell you if, it'll grade you A to F on your hook, your flow, your engagement, and if you hit a popular trend. So now I only hit all of the ones, and then it'll give you a score. So this is one of my latest ones. It says A minus, A minus. This took me a long time to get. I had to figure out what questions to ask on my show to be trendy, to have a hook, to have a flow, all of that. A lot of these were like C's and D's when I first got on here. So I'm very, very happy to start having a whole bunch of A's. Sometimes I'll post something if the hook, flow, and engagement is cool. It don't have to be trendy. I'm not always going to talk about trending topics. This is not the type of show that I have right now. So that's not really a big thing for me. But that's how I pick what clips to post. That's how I pick the time limit on it. I also had to start watching other podcasts to see why people watch those podcasts. I had to start really being a student of my craft. I had to start seeing how people engage with everything. And do you know what I really found out is that you need an audience before you start a podcast. People have to know you already. And if they don't know you already, you have to be very, 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 very strategic about how you introduce yourself. That's it. There's also this clip about Drake from back in his Take Care days, talking about all of this is marketing. When I found out all of this was marketing, I knew I was going to take off. Yeah, that's how I'm trying to be. Y'all already know my obsession with Drake. So, yes, I'm definitely going to sit there and be like, okay, if it's all marketing, then yes, it's marketing. Because it's how you present yourself. So if you don't have a hook, you don't have a flow, you don't have no type of engagement, something that will make people happy or sad, angry or happy, like you have to invoke emotions in your content. And this will tell you when you did that. I don't know about y'all, but it's very hard for me to critique myself. So having AI critique me is great because I'm going to tell you all the clips. I'm going to tell you literally every minute of that 60-minute show is priceless. And everybody wants to watch all 60 seconds. That's how I feel about my stuff. Because that's what I do. When I go home, I watch the whole thing. I watch the whole entire thing. And I'm like, oh, you're so cute. I love that question. Good job. Right? That's how I do with my show. Everybody don't do that. Everybody don't do that. So I had to start going this music, like it's not music, but I think of myself a lot of times as a rapper. I'm putting out content that's I want you to replay, and I want this to become a part of your life. I want this to become a part of your story. I want this to become a part of your routine. I want y'all to watch me every Thursday. So in order to do that, like, how did you get to know your favorite artist? They had to put out one piece of content that you had to fuck with so hard that you would come back. That's what I'm trying to do. So when I think about it, when I think about music and I think about podcasting, I always relate the two because that's the goal. The goal is to get you to come back. So if whatever I'm doing isn't getting you guys to come back, then I'm doing it wrong. And that's why I be stressed and running around town and a hot mess sometimes when it comes to a lot of things because I'm focused. I think that's really what it is. So those are some of the key metrics. So what are my takeaways? Let me talk about takeaways for y'all. First of all, always looked at your account reached so that you could see how many people actually saw your stuff. How many people viewed this? How many people saw it? Second thing, look at your replays. If no one is replaying your reel, your TikTok, whatever, your YouTube studio, all of these have the same metrics. Like, that's why I didn't change them. They all have the same metrics. They might name them a little differently. I don't know if it's a copyright issue, but it's the same stuff. So you're going to look at your replays to make sure that you have content that people want to rewatch. If you don't have content, people don't want to rewatch it. It's crazy. The next thing is average watch time. If your average watch time is low, then you need to cut your clip. Period. And if your average watch time is 2 seconds, then your content is awful. It's awful. Something wasn't appealing about it. And unfortunately, unless you see the actual content, there's no tips that I could give you. There's nothing that I could really help unless I saw what you had going on, and then maybe we could come up with a discussion or something. But this is it. This is it. These are the things to look for. You're gonna watch your replays. You're gonna watch your average time watched, and you're definitely gonna look at your reach. Everything else after that, I think the last thing that I look at is profile activity, and that's the number of follows that you got from a piece of content. That's crazy. That's probably like your biggest indicator. I would say that and saves are your biggest indicator that you had great content. If somebody followed you off a piece of content, repeat it. That's it. Like, repeat it. Like, that means that was it. That was the one. That was that piece of content that touched somebody's soul enough to view you again, to want to come into your world, this world that you constantly putting out content for. Like, you finally made it. You got a follower, right? That's probably the biggest one for me. I tend to get a lot more follows from YouTube than I do from Instagram. Actually, TikTok actually beat YouTube last week. So it just depends. Also, I'm going to tell you to try different platforms. Maybe your content is not TikTok worthy, but it might be YouTube short worthy. Pick a place. I mean, honestly, I don't know if you're trying to get TikTok famous, like, specifically, or if you just have a goal of more exposure, but try a different platform. If that one don't work, do another one. If that one don't work, do another one. There is a platform for you. There are some people who I know who are lit on Clubhouse, but nowhere else. Twitter empty. Don't nobody respond to them on their posts, none of that. But in Clubhouse, they're the king. So sometimes you just need to find your platform. Every platform isn't for you. You might not be a TikTok girl. You might not be an Instagram man. I've been saying this a lot, especially with men. Y'all don't really understand aesthetically pleasing. So I've seen a lot of problems with that. Get some help. Hire some people for that. Make you aesthetically pleasing. Because I've seen some of y'all. Yeah, that's yeah. I have to be a little bit more careful with what I'm gonna say. But you need to change some of that. And the reason why I analyze all this stuff is because my goal at the end of the day is to make Entrepreneurish a talk show. I want y'all to see this each and every day on your TV screen. How can I do that? You have to have brandability. You have to have... People want to make money off of you, okay? And if you don't make money, then they're not going to invest their money into you. And I know if you're doing a podcast, the whole point is for people to start paying for your lifestyle, which means you have to be incredible enough for people to give you money out their pockets. You got to touch their soul enough for them to be like, all right, I know it's a recession, but I'll give you some money. That's like, we have to really start thinking about that. So I had a few brand partnerships and things like that, but the reason why they fell through was because they were feeling like they didn't get enough views. They didn't get enough exposure, and they weren't getting enough sales. That's me being transparent. That's me being very transparent. If y'all have known my show, y'all watched like the first episode when I had like 6 sponsors, and now it's just me. I sponsor me, right? It's because of that. It was really because of my analytics. And the reason why it's been a struggle getting more is because I have the same problem. And so we have to be honest with ourselves about what our downfalls are in order to get to where we want to go. Because if I keep pretending like I'm great at marketing, I'm going to keep sitting here. And that's not what I want to do. It's not what I want to do at all. That actually gives me crazy anxiety to think about still being in the same place next year. It gives me anxiety. So, in order to quell that, in order to have a very peaceful me, I look at my analytics. I'm gonna beef them up. So, I told you guys that I was gonna give you the thresholds that y'all need. So, get out a piece of paper and start to see what the thresholds are for the average person to start getting views. So, number one, if you are on YouTube, you need 500 subscribers, and you need, hold on, let me pull up Studio. 500 subscribers, and then you need, I think it's 3 videos uploaded within the last 90 days, and then you need 3,000 public watch hours or 3 million YouTube Shorts views in order to start making money from your YouTube. So, that's your threshold for YouTube. If you're trying to get to anybody's attention at all, 500 subscribers and 3,000 watch hours. That's it. Watch hours are hard because then that means you have to make content that people want to watch for 3,000 hours. It's an insane metric, but that's how they tell you, oh, okay, we'll start paying you money. Once you pass these thresholds, it's free money. They just give it to you because you're over this threshold. That's it. That is the point. That's where you're trying to get. If you're a podcaster, this is where you are trying to get over this threshold. So same thing with Instagram. So Instagram, you need 10,000 followers, period. That is the starting number for anyone to really, really start to give you real brand deals. And I know it's a lot of people say, oh, well, you can be a micro influencer. That's what they mean by micro. 10,000 is micro. That's what they mean. Don't play yourself. Don't apply for something looking like, oh, Skims does micro influencers. No, not for you. 10,000 and below. Because think about it. These people who are going to give you brands, their brand themselves probably already has 1 million followers. So why would they use you if you can't get them more than that? You see, you got to understand the reason why businesses use certain people. It's because they want to gain something from it. So who is going to give you money if you have not reached the threshold? And then for TikTok, you need at least 1,000 followers in order to go live. And once you can go live, you can do a lot of things. So at, I think, 150 followers, you can open your own shop, because I'm able to open my own shop and I don't have that many. I just started on TikTok. And I think I'm at like 1 something. I don't know. I haven't checked today. But once you get 1,000 followers on TikTok, then you can go live, and live TikTok is where people make their money. People make money off of live TikTok. Like, TikTok is like a live space. It's not it's live spaces where you sell. And I've seen all these people sit there on TikTok, sell their wigs, sell their beads, lip glosses. I've seen people sell all types of shit. On TikTok. And it's possible. It's possible to make a lot of money doing nothing, but you have to hit thresholds. The only way you're going to hit these thresholds is if you know your analytics. Because I bet you had no idea that you needed 3,000 watch hours in order to get paid on YouTube. What do your watch hours look like? Do you know that? When I calculated earlier in this year, I needed an 800% growth in order to hit that. 800% growth. It's insane. It's insane. But we have to talk about this stuff because we have to be honest in what we have. And that, to me, is, and that's why I said I would have fired me as my analyst for my podcast if it was possible. But I am stuck with me. But I'm glad that I am an analyst because now I get to be honest with myself. I get to say, hey, you got some work to do. You got some major work to do on your audience and your content in order to get where you want to go. So, I want you guys to take a minute. Take a minute. First, get your business account. I'm really looking at you sideways, bossy. Why don't you have a business account? What's up? How you a business and you don't have no business account? Thank you. Anyway, get yourself a business account. And then after that, once you get your business account, then you need to really view insights on everything. Everything. I have YouTube Studio on my phone, so I can watch it. I have all the analytics sites on my phone. I look at my analytics every single day. What I really started doing is what I love about YouTube. YouTube will do weekly recaps for you. So I started doing my own weekly recaps on Instagram and TikTok. And so then I combine them together, and then I start to have a board meeting with myself. And I start to go, hey, what you need to do to get more popular? You're down in these areas. Let's make these changes, and let's see what happens. And then what I do is a lot of A/B testing. I don't know if y'all noticed this, but some weeks I'll post longer videos. Some weeks I'll post shorter videos. I'm experimenting until something pops off. So that's what you should be doing. You consistently doing the same shit the exact same way, and you still getting the same number of likes. Should have told you a long time ago that you were insane and that you needed to change how you do stuff. You need to experiment. You gotta experiment. You gotta push the envelope on yourself. You gotta take yourself to another level to get to another level. And that is just really what it is. Well, I had, do y'all know Jillian Michaels? Am I old? Do y'all know anything about that? No, I mean it. Like, Jillian Michaels is everywhere. She was on that show where they made people lose weight on TV. She did everything, but I used to do her workout videos. My mom got me into workout videos. Like, she used to do Tybo and P90X and shit like that when I was growing up in the house. So it was always some type of workout video, DVD, or something in my house. And one of the favorite ones that I got when I was like in high school, when I started being real body conscious and felt like I needed to work out all the time, was Jillian Michaels. And Jillian Michaels said, get comfortable being uncomfortable. And I used to look at her crazy like, bitch, why? Why should I get comfortable being uncomfortable? This is stupid. Like, this is like the dumbest thing you could possibly say. And you saying this loud and proud. Like, why is that what you want me to do? But it took years. It took until I was like, honestly, today years old. I don't even want to say that, but recently. Recently, for me to see what she meant by get comfortable being uncomfortable. Y'all, growth is not comfortable. Growth is not comfortable. Growth should feel scary. It should feel dangerous. You should be literally making yourself shake in your boots every time you do something else. That's what growth feels like. So you have to get comfortable with that butterfly feeling that you get. That's that thing that will make you leave. That was really the thing that should have told you to stay. When I first started getting back out there as a podcaster, I knew I had to go to an event if I really didn't want to. Like, if I was coming up with all kinds of excuses the day before as to why it wasn't really a big deal, or if the day of I'm taking a really long time to curl my hair, or to do an extra bit of makeup, to like redo my eyeliner once or twice just because I'm just trying to pass the time. I used to do that because my nerves, my stomach would be like, no, don't go there. Like, that's new. It's scary. It's what are you going to do there? Are you even a podcaster? No one watches your show, blah, blah, blah. Like, I kept saying all these things to myself, right? But every time I would go to something, despite that gut feeling telling me that this is crazy, what are you doing here, right? It was wonderful. I met people who would come on my show years later because of some of the crazy, uncomfortable shit that I did. I did a lot of uncomfortable I had to. I would not be sitting here today if I didn't do uncomfortable shit. Do you know what it's like to put out your own creative thought? Do you know what it's like? That's uncomfortable. I have to do that every Thursday. I have to do it every Thursday. Really, not even every Thursday. I have to do it every single day to make you guys like know who I am, right? So that's what get comfortable being uncomfortable means. It means that when you feel uncomfortable, you got to be like, oh, I'm used to this feeling. I'm doing the right thing. That means I'm in the right place. I'm at the right. I'm doing the right thing. Go for it. So it's that. I hated that phrase. And then I say it all the time in my head. If I'm sitting there, I'm like, I kind of want to go, because I just pushed myself to a brand new limit that I didn't even think I was gonna get to. I just pushed myself to a brand new limit that I thought that door was closed for me. And when I'm sitting in that environment now, and I probably talk to y'all about it a little later. I'm not ready to talk about it yet, but when I sit in my new environment, it's basically like I'm terrified of being in that environment. It's so high up above what I'm used to that I feel like I don't belong there. I feel like, who are you kidding? Like, that's when that imposter syndrome comes in. Like, girl, what you doing up here? What you doing with these people? What they supposed to do for you? They gonna look at you? That's really, like, that's what my insides are telling me. But then I'm sitting there, my higher self is talking to my lower self, telling me to chill the fuck out and sit down. And normally, that's a battle that you're gonna have to do with yourself until you are comfortable being uncomfortable. You just have to do it. You're gonna have to keep having that battle between higher and lower self until they both decide to agree. Or maybe you tell your lower self, like, maybe you tie them up and put them in a corner or something. I don't know. But stop listening to that lower self person. You know exactly what that is. The person who's your own hater inside your head. Stop listening to that. Stop listening to that. You can do anything you want to. You just got to try. And even if there's an obstacle, there's a way around the obstacle. There's a threshold you need to meet. There's a way to meet a threshold. Whatever is holding you back, don't let that shit hold you back. Don't let it hold you back. For what? How many days did you work on this? How many hours did you put into your shit? Don't let nobody stop you. You know what you have. You know the reason what keeps you up at night. You know the reason that you keep doing something that doesn't get any views. You know the reason why you do this stuff. You understand. You know you. You know why you're here to do it. So do it. Just go do it. Nothing bad can happen, because you know what will happen? You end up in the same place that you already know. What changed? Nothing changed. So, that's really what I'm doing. Get yourself uncomfortable. Get yourself uncomfortable looking at your analytics. Get yourself uncomfortable knowing that your analytics suck. Get yourself uncomfortable A/B testing your shit. Get yourself uncomfortable. Get uncomfortable. Start learning marketing terms. Start learning. This one guy has this thing where you can literally download where to frame your face. Some of y'all, and I'm talking to me too, because there's a lot of times, especially looking through my page right now, it's a lot of pictures on there where I'm like, if you just put your face in the middle of it, it might have worked better. But I'm not a tech person. We are definitely handing that off in this new season. We're handing that job off to somebody who's much more coordinated, so that I can just watch their analytics, so that I can get on them. I'd be like, what's wrong with you? Instead of me. But yeah, so the last thing I really, really wanted to do was like, I want to take some time to understand why we're doing this. The point is longevity. The point is for you to make a splash in this area that you really wanted to be in. The reason why you started your business in that industry was because you had a passion for that, right? Passion underexposed is just an abomination. It just really is. Because imagine being Picasso, but no one knows you're Picasso. I mean, that's a world-renowned artist who's been dead, and all his paintings are like millions of dollars. Imagine if no one knew who he was. Where would those paintings be? Not in a fucking museum. Fantastic paintings would be in the trash somewhere. Like a long time ago, like in the 1700s, the shit would have been in the trash I don't know. I'm sorry. I don't know anything about art. Please don't. I don't know when Picasso came out. Please, please don't come for me on that. But this is what I'm talking about. Like your fantastic content that you're working on needs exposure. And the only way you're going to actually get the exposure that you want is that you test out your content. You test out what you're doing on social media. If it's good, if it's bad, you have to test it out. You have to find out. You have to look yourself in the mirror and say, am I doing a good job? Would I want to work for me? Would I want to watch my own show? Whatever it is, you have to start looking at yourself. We have to start holding a mirror up to our faces, and we have to go, there's something wrong there, right? Like whatever it is. And I'm not saying beat yourself up over it. I'm not saying that. Just be aware. Be aware. So when I started looking at my analytics and I started really looking for anything that was saved, sent, or replayed, that's when I started kind of coming up with my own formula about my content. And so using that formula is how I experiment, and that's how I get movement. That's how I get growth. And it's these small changes that have really, really, really been the biggest difference in everything. So think about that, y'all. Keep that in mind. The last thing that I want to share with you guys is to just not get discouraged, okay? Sucking sucks. I don't really know another way of saying that, but when you start off, you're not good. You're just not good. You're terrible when you start off. You're absolutely atrocious when you start off. But if you quit, you'll never get better than that. So you have to, again, get comfortable being uncomfortable. You have to get really uncomfortable, or really comfortable being not good. You have to get comfortable with that, to the point where you're like good now because you got so uncomfortable with not being good that now it's not even a problem. Good, bad, this is science. I'm really looking at this for numbers. I'm looking at this for, is this post relatable? And how do I know that? People shared it. That's it. If no one shared it, it's not relatable content. Is this helpful? Did somebody save it? If they didn't save it, it wasn't fucking helpful. So like this is what I'm saying. Like when you're putting out content, and you have to do it intentionally. So if you're putting out content to be helpful and no one's saving it, then you understand that you need to change your content, right? This is what I'm trying to help y'all, because I know a lot of us are like walking around like, what do I do next? It's just not popping off. It's just not popping off. Like that's the only thing that we can say. No, you really have a blueprint about why. You just need to take some time to understand what these little icons mean. Instagram knows what those icons mean, and they watch them constantly. That's how their algorithm works. That's how they make sure certain things show up in your face. It's based off those numbers. Everything is based off numbers in the digital world. We really need to understand that. Well, in life in general, everything's based off numbers. But like especially here, something man-made from a computer. This is a program, y'all. This is code. It's code. It's literal code. It literally tells you exactly what it will and will not accept. So, one thing that I saw, I went to, Spotify does this thing where they'll do interviews with famous podcasters and things like that for you to watch to see how they were able to grow or how they were able to become who they wanted to become. And the biggest thing that I learned from watching this is that when you post on your stories, Instagram it wants you to wait until that full 24 hours is done, and you have to start over with a brand new story. Anytime you add stories to something that didn't go away, you're messing up what they're going to promote for you. So she was telling me, or she was telling us, I guess I felt like she was talking to me, but she was telling us that if you are posting in your story and then you're not letting it run out that 24 full hours, you're not going to get the reach that you actually wanted to get. So I tested it, and I started waiting to see what would happen if I left my stories up and just let them go out. Because I used to think, no, you could never not have a story, right? Like that's how I was doing it. No. When I started letting them run out, my stories went from like, I think I had like a double. So, I mean, I don't get a lot of views. So it went from like 15 to 30 people every single time. And it was literally just because I let it run out. So if y'all are like, oh, I need quick results, that's one. That's a win right there. Let your stories run out. And for Spotify, it's based on category. So if you have a podcast and you set it up and you just put it any type of category, you weren't really sure about what you were doing, that's probably the reason why you don't have as many listens on your podcast, and it's because of your category. So you guys need to get really familiar about what categories people really like to listen to when it comes to podcasting, and not visual, because Spotify is all listening. I realized that people like to listen to my podcast more than they like to watch it. So I had to change my strategy based on that. There's a lot of things that you guys can do with analytics. You just need to kind of educate yourself a little bit on it. So I'm going to repeat this because it said in the beginning, if you made it this far, I want to repeat this for you. Go to Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube and type in social media analytics. Just type it in, go down a rabbit hole, learn some shit, start experimenting, be okay with the fact that you're going to suck for a minute, but you're going to see those numbers rise. You just are. There's no choice, especially if you are consistent. But I don't want you to be consistently putting out shit. I want you to put out good stuff. Don't consistently give me the same pose. I don't want that. I don't care about it. I'm going to keep skipping it. It's going to get worse. Your analytics are going to get worse if you keep doing the same thing. So that's my bossy message. We have a show next week, and I want you guys to tune in for that because it's a big deal. And you guys will find out why next time. All right? So thanks for watching. Follow at entrepreneur.ish.podcast on TikTok, Instagram, and on YouTube. And we'll see you next time. Bye.